Bias is favoring any one thing over another due to preconceived notions on the nature of the issue at hand. Bias sometimes develop because they make it easier to think and ultimately make decisions when you have incomplete information. This is not always a bad thing. We recognize that biases allow us to overcome the inherent uncertainty in war, and as such, a bias for action is a necessary attribute within the Marine Corps. However, unlike a bias for action that is inculcated into us as Marines, when bias becomes unintentional or rooted in life experiences or individual belief systems, they may undermine our effectiveness as leaders.
It is important to note that unintentional bias may blind you to important aspects of the world around you. At a fundamental level, each bias a person develops is a poorly informed viewpoint that can lead decision-making astray from the reality of the situation, or cause reckless glossing over of important information. When this occurs, it undermines effective and efficient problem solving. Learning to mitigate unintentional bias is about learning to see and understand the people around you, the environment, and the full set of options you have available to you without any other erroneous factors. Your brain is always trying to build a picture of the world with incomplete information. This is natural and okay. However, like the fog of war, it must be respected as existing and accounted for during problem solving. Accounting for your own biases and checking them against the reality of a situation is important when framing a problem and developing courses of action. Through training, education, and research, Quantico provides Marines with the conceptual tools and skills they need in order to think more critically and to be aware of the ways that bias shapes how they view the world as well as ways to avoid it. Most of these concepts and skills are cross-cutting, in that each concept or skill we teach factor into larger competencies.
As an example, the skill of suspending judgment or taking a few moments to hold off on applying your beliefs and judgments to a situation so that you can take on a more informed perspective works to mitigate unintentional bias. Filtering situations through your own perspective is automatic for most people, but cultivating the ability to momentarily suspend judgment creates space. With this space, we have an opportunity to look at the perspective of the other individual. As a result of combining suspending judgment and taking perspective, we have effectively managed ambiguity.
Let's say you see a Marine walk into the exchange who is clearly outside of height and weight standards. In these situations, it's tempting to try to fill in the gaps with our knowledge and perspectives. However, doing this might put you at risk for misconstruing the situation. Many of us would assume the Marine is eating too much junk food or never goes to the gym. But when we suspend these judgments, we open our mind to other explanations, such as an underlying medical condition, weight gain from a prescription medication, or a recent childbirth. With more information, we are better positioned to positively influence the situation instead of causing damage to a fellow Marine based on false assumptions. Accepting uncertainty without rushing to judgment makes you more capable of handling complex situations.
MCDP 1 reads, "Because war is a clash between opposing human wills, the human dimension is central in war. It is the human dimension which infuses war with its intangible moral factors. War is shaped by human nature."
Preconceptions and biases develop over a lifetime may lead Marines to misjudge or fail to see some of those complexities and inconsistencies. A critical step in unraveling the human dimension of war is to understand how your own perspective and biases shape how you view the human dimension. Through training, education, and research, Quantico equips Marines with the cognitive tools necessary to recognize their own biases and more effectively assess the operating environment.